All right, so quickly let me take you to Niger. What is happening over there in relation to what you just told us? ECOWAS says they sending an army, standby army to a military to Niger. Today, the Committee of Chief of Defense of Africa, defense staff are meeting here in Accra, and they will continue the meeting tomorrow. You are a conflict resolution expert. Tell me, is this the right approach?
That's not only it's a good question, but it's a very difficult question to answer just like that. ECOWAS, let's take it bit by bit. Okay. ECOWAS, as you presented in the beginning, it's a group of West African countries. It's a group. It's a great group. Economically speaking, they have achieved pretty good things. I have been to West Africa. Imagine that African people in West Africa had their own Schengen, let's say, space before the Europeans.
Okay.
West African people can travel between countries. And the Europeans started to do this just recently in the 90s. West African were able to do it. But we know resources, unfortunately, are badly managed, but the idea was there. Now, the thing is, this ECOWAS and this group joint force task, they have a joint force task, and the Chiame, the leader of the coup in Niger, used to be one of the battalion chiefs. Remember, he was the battalion leader, commander in Ivory Coast in 2003. It was the head, one of the heads of ECOWAS military who intervened in Ivory Coast. So the intent is good. Not the intent is good, and sometimes, unfortunately, even as a conflict analyst, the force or the military force is sometimes necessary, but you need to have all the conditions set there so you can deal with issues. Not necessarily use the military force, but use it as a leverage, as a threat. Let me explain.
Okay.
The problem is Niger. What's happening in Niger is a consequence of domino effects of what has been unfolding in the last years in Mali, in Burkina Faso, today Niger, and tomorrow what? So something has to be done. It has to be done by African people. Now, the problem with ECOWAS, the problem I see, ECOWAS is ECOWAS, but militarily speaking, it may be the prolongation of foreign forces. Remember that G5 was created with the support of the French. And G5 is Chad, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Mauritania. So these 5 countries, each one would provide a battalion. And battalion, we're talking about 1,200 to 1,500 men from each country to fight terrorism in the region. Now it's a new buzzword. So we're here not to take resources, but to fight global terrorism, right? This is a new pretext. And we know that in international relations, there's always pretext and context. So you create that context to do something. ECOWAS in itself, it's a good idea, but does ECOWAS have the resources to do the job without foreign interference? This is not, I'm not sure about it. And the other thing, when you try to solve problems or solve conflict, you sit and you negotiate. But what does it mean, negotiate? Negotiate, you have to create a power balance And right now, we have power imbalance, meaning that the military junta took over. They have established their rule right now, so far. And how can you negotiate with them if you cannot show them that you have both the stick and the carrot? This is how it works. People think negotiations is just sit and talk. Yeah, you sit and talk it's like you're playing poker. What do you have? Which cards do you have? What are your cards? And are you bluffing or not? And when ECOWAS declared that they will intervene militarily, I hope they knew what they were talking about. I hope that those people who said that we will intervene militarily if necessary, they believed that they could do it. Because if they can't, or at least they cannot show the Nigerian military that they can if they must, we're done. We're done and Niger is gone. There is no democracy and the military will continue to rule. And unfortunately, this is what we have been seeing in Mali, Burkina Faso, now in Niger, and as I said, so what's next? I'm not a big fan of military interventions, not at all. But if we want to solve problems, we need to show strength, we need to show good faith, and we need to work for the people. So there is no ECOWAS now, because there are two options. Either ECOWAS intervenes and does something, or it doesn't. Let's say they don't intervene. They can't. They're not able to do it. What's next? What will happen?
Now, but to the best of your knowledge, do you think they can do it? Looking at the strength of the military in the various West African countries, are you sure they can do it?
Well, you know what? You want me to talk about Russia, Wagner, and what's going on in Ukraine? I would say if Wagner was as strong as it used to be, as it was like a year ago, if Russia wasn't struggling right now with Ukraine, I would say it's not possible. But given the situation on the ground, let's say operationally speaking or tactically speaking, Russia through Wagner doesn't have the resources to really do what they have done in the Sahel in the last 5 years. Remember, Wagner were, and by the way, Wagner is mercenary Russian group who was able to disrupt French in Mali. That's why French had to leave, because the situation, Wagner was able to turn the situation. Too bad, to worse, that is another question. ECOWAS, if Wagner wasn't that, ECOWAS would have been able. And what? You remind me on one thing. The military option, the ECOWAS military option is not off the table as we speak. Yes, they haven't done anything yet, but it doesn't mean that it won't happen. Do I believe that they will do it? They have done it in Ivory Coast. They have done it in Central Africa, in Guinea, and in other African countries. So why not in Niger? So those among Africans who think that they cannot do it, I'm not so sure. The near future will show us if this happens, but chances that ECOWAS will intervene in Niger are pretty strong. Yes, because I don't think Russians can do something about it. They don't have enough resources. They have too many problems at home, and Wagner is not as strong and capable as they used to be a few years ago. So yes, the military option, unfortunately, is still there. I am confident that there are negotiations now, and with the time, the junta, Chiame, as I said, he knows ECOWAS very, very well. He was a battalion leader over there. He commanded a battalion. So he knows what is going on with ECOWAS, and he knows that if some conditions are there, ECOWAS would do something, and he knows that. And he did it himself in Ivory Coast in 2002. And we know what happened. But yes, all of that was possible with the support of the French and also logistically the United States support. So will ECOWAS intervene in Niger? I would say there are a great chance that they will do it. If nothing happens, if nothing changes in Niger, I don't think they will sit aside and continue to watch. Something will be done.